Support me and be on my wall of supporters. Thank you, my nerd.
Yeah, my dear nerds, I know the heresy of the title. I know that a lot of you are preparing to write in the comments that the TrimUI brick is better or that the Mio Mini Plus is better, which I still love by the way. But hear me out, put down the pitchforks, because I have a lot of reasons why this seemingly average 2025 handheld, which honestly has more in common with 2024 Linux Anbernic handhelds, on why this might be the best vertical budget Linux handheld that you can buy. So before you crucify me for what I said, let's talk about this beautiful little guy. The RG35XX Pro is nothing spectacular, okay? At first glance, you'd be right to dismiss it like, ew, disgusting, old tech, H700, 2024, blech, go in the corner, nobody loves you. But that is not the case. You see, I've said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. These, my dear nerds, this or this, these are not handhelds, they are emulation devices. And for that, you need to make sure that you get a device that has the proper inputs and the proper infrastructure that would allow you to play as many platforms as possible. And this is where the TrimUI brick and where the Mio Mini Plus fail, in my opinion. I assume you know where I'm going with this. Just let me push some subliminal messaging onto you here. I'm talking about the sticks. You know, you might not agree with me here, but there are a lot of consoles that make use of these sticks. I'm talking about arcade, I'm talking about Nintendo 64, I'm talking about Dreamcast. These are platforms that would not really be enjoyable on something without sticks, no matter how powerful that specific handheld might be. But before we dive into the nitty-gritty and before we jump into this rabbit hole with the RG35XX Pro, come on, focus. Before we do this, I want to quickly give a shout out to LitNXT because they are the awesome guys that sent me this one. And I was kind of crazy over this one specifically because it's all black. I assume you know me by now, I love all black handhelds. It has the same 2024 H700 CPU, which is honestly nothing exciting, 1 GB of RAM, which again is really nothing exciting, a microSD card slot, 5 GHz Wi-Fi, which if you know the handheld landscape by now, you know that most of them come either with no Wi-Fi or with 2.4 GHz, which is annoying as heck, especially if you have a decent router at home and you have everything on 5 GHz. I applaud this tiny change. More of the usual, we have a 3200 mAh battery. It's not really that heavy, it's 191 grams. If you're under 16, you cannot play this handheld for reasons, I guess. Coming back to it though, my appeal to you, and I'm gonna go to the bad parts of this handheld very soon, stick around for that. My appeal to you is, do not view this as a handheld. Don't view its sibling, the Battle XP G350, as a handheld. I said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. Every piece of hardware in our hobby, these are not handhelds, my dear nerds. They are pieces of emulation tech. This is supposed to be a Swiss Army knife, and that's the problem with the TrimUI brick, or even my beloved Mio Mini Plus. The fact that it doesn't have sticks which get out of your way, by the way, if you don't use them, they barely protrude over the D-pad, then you will not be able to enjoy a lot of platforms. The PSP needs a stick. You see, there's a lot of handhelds in the field, a lot. Most of them are average at best. They might have better CPUs, but you will be stuck with a D-pad, some buttons, and you know, that's kinda it. You will have to suffer if you want to play Nintendo 64 on a D-pad. I dare you to do that. Controversial take, I don't mind that this has the same tired by now H700 SoC, solely because we have a poop ton of custom firmware that is optimized for this SoC. I'm talking MuOS, I'm talking Nuli, I'm talking about a lot. You can put a MIUI on this. You can put a lot of things. I would go for MooOS myself, but for the purposes of this video, I left it on stock. So what can you expect with this handheld? Let's quickly do a run around here. But before that, let me clean this dang screen. I have greasy Latin hands and there's no way of changing that. We have a pretty good feeling D-pad. It's jumpy, but in a very satisfying way. Of course, this is membrane, but it's a high quality membrane. We have good feeling buttons, the start and select, which are kinda mushy, but hey, we can't win them all. We have a menu button. This usually pulls up the RetroArch menu or the safe state menu if you're in that simplistic Anbernic UI, which I'm gonna show in a bit. Beautiful black sticks on a black background. I am gaga over this. I hate that we have this stupid ornamental speaker grill, which is actually just molded plastic. I resent when companies try to trick us like this. I mean, really, how hard it is? How hard is it to make a clean layout if strategically you put the speaker at the bottom? I'm gonna talk about this godforsaken speaker in a bit, so make sure to stick around for that. We have two SD card slots, one on the left and one on the right. Volume buttons here, of course, L1 and L2. R1 and R2. The sticks also click, so we have L3 and R3 as well. Then we have a reset button, which is a godsend. That's how I actually destroyed my first Mio Mini Plus, which I still regret because it had no reset button and I had to open it to disconnect the battery, but with my thick sausage hands, I actually ripped that 2-pin connector. This will never happen on this handheld, solely because of this little button. And of course we have the on-off button. The top is pretty busy. We have a 3.5mm headphone jack, mini HDMI port. We can connect this little guy to the TV and use it as a TV console, which is very nice. The charging port, which doubles as an OTG port if you want to connect another controller to this. Let's say you want to play Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers with your friend. You can totally do that. And this, unlike its cousin, the Battle XP G350, this has Bluetooth and the 5 GHz and 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi that I talked about earlier. Now that I covered the basics, you might wonder what makes this filthy little piece of plastic. I don't know why I called it that. I actually like this one. What makes it Pro? What makes it so nice that the Pro label is justified? You know, I can't lie to you, I have no freaking idea. Maybe it's the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's this cool matte black colorway as opposed to the G350, which by the way has a different SoC, comes with an ESDE emulation station type of front end, but has no Bluetooth and no Wi-Fi. A lot of people suffer over that. My main problem with this particular unit, this one in particular, I'm not talking about the RG35XX Pro model, I'm talking about this particular one, is that they put a white speaker mesh at the bottom. The speaker is at the bottom, it's not here. You know, we are being a bit fooled here. But the fact that they put a white speaker mesh absolutely kills me. I'm not saying I have OCD, I'm undiagnosed, who the heck knows, but this annoys the living poop out of me. Now, I know this is not standard with the RG35XX Pro. Probably the guys at Anbernic, when they assembled these things, they were like, hey, the tray with the speaker meshes, with the black ones, aren't here yet. Just put some white ones, nobody will notice. You know, they don't care. The face of a person that doesn't care. And yeah, this really grinds my gears way more than it should. The Battle XP, of course, has a black speaker mesh, as it should, as it's natural in this freaking world. In fact, you know what, I'm not gonna stand for this heresy. We're gonna fix it right here and right now. You know, some do-it-yourself fixes never hurt anyone. If only I could... No, I can't reach it! Ah, freaking heck. Doesn't reach it. Do you see this? Okay, time to do a temporary hack with what I assume is not a permanent marker, but this is the only alternative that I have in the house. Come on. Okay, I partially fixed it. I hope this doesn't get discolored back into white. Out of sight, out of mind, I always say. I will force myself not to look at it, but again, my dear nerds, I want to mention that this annoying little thing that I made a big case about is specific to this particular unit, not the model itself. In case you buy it, you're probably gonna have a black speaker mesh as God intended with these things. As far as games go, you have everything you expect from PSP. God of War doesn't play at decent FPS, so I would eliminate this completely. You can get away with Ridge Racer, with Pac-Man, all that good stuff. And we have quite a bit of platforms here, which is very, very nice. Some of them I don't actually even know about. I'm a peasant. We have Sega Master, we have WonderSwan, and quite a decent amount of ports. And I'm happy to say that they didn't put the sketchy ones. My experiment with the speaker mesh thankfully didn't alter the sound quality, which is nice. Let's have a look at some beautiful stretched Pico 8 over here. You can also control it with the stick, which is my preferred method for these kind of games. And it works wonderfully, as you would expect. This is a Linux operating system, and Pico 8 is native on this. It works beautifully. Come on, you freaking cherry. Ah! I'm horrible at this game. What happened to me? I used to have potential. I used to be good at this stuff. Come on. Yes. Good enough. Of course, I had to do the mandatory Contra test. I have no idea why this hacked version of Contra is loaded by default. I don't want the coolest freaking weapon from the start. I want to work for it. But yeah, the D-pad works beautifully. I have full control over the diagonals. Anbernic was always very good with the D-pads, even from the times of the RG35XX. They simply nailed D-pads. They were very good at it. You see, now I worked for this weapon. This is how Contra should be. I hate this hacked version with the default weapon being given from the start. You see, now I should have that sad little pistol. But oh well. You see, when I was talking about sticks, this is exactly a use case where sticks are very nice to have. You will enjoy having them. This is a PSP game, this is Ridge Racer, and this works beautifully with the stick. Of course, you can also use the D-pad if you want, like a peasant, but when platforms had sticks, you should embrace the stick on your emulation device as well. Cough cough, emulation handheld, but you get my point. And this is one of those handhelds, not that I want to overpraise it or anything, but it's one of those where the sticks actually go out of the way when you want a normal, let's say, Game Boy vertical form factor. So out of sight, out of mind is actually a real thing. You will not feel them or notice them when your hand is like this, you know, with the fingers on the shoulder buttons and your thumbs on the D-pad and face buttons over here. And this is quite a decent experience, I would have to say. You will see some stuttering in Ridge Racer, but pro tip, you can fix that by going to System, and here you have to go to fast and no lag on slow storage. I think this was the hack that made Ridge Racer not stutter. Anyway, you get the point. Sticks are very important to have. Dreamcast is also one of those platforms where you want to have a stick. This is quite frankly, it's a good experience. Now, if I used that D-pad, I could still use it, but it doesn't feel original. It doesn't feel like the Dreamcast of old. You know, the Dreamcast had a stick. You need sticks. I don't want to be on your head too much with this, but somebody has to spread the gospel of the sticks. You know, and since you're watching me, you might as well be the person at the door to me in the place of a Mormon trying to introduce you to my stick ideology. You need to embrace it, my beautiful nerd. I don't want you to be annoyed by my stick saga, but did I mention did I mention the importance of having a stick? Here's me playing N64, which had that famous middle stick. N64 without a stick is simply a horrible, horrible experience. You need at least one of these things. But anyway, I hope you're still here. I know that on a scale from 1 to 10 of annoyance, I was like 58 right now. I just want to help you have proper expectations when it comes to getting handhelds. There's a lot of people that buy their first handheld still. This whole hobby of ours seems to grow. And I am way more at ease when I look in people's faces knowing that I recommended them something with as many input methods as possible. You can't have more input methods. This is not a thing. You can't have enough of them. So I want you to be on the same page with me on this. So anyway, bad things about this handheld. It has last year's chip. That's never nice. A lot of people have H700 handhelds by this point. This, in terms of performance, is no different. However, this is a vertical that's actually constructed in a high quality fashion. Again, I don't want to overpraise this, but Anbernic always has solid feeling plastic. It's solid, it makes me feel like I can chuck it in a backpack. This thing can fall off a ledge, it can go like this over rocks, and I feel like this would still have a chance at survival. Of course, it probably won't, considering it has a screen, but I feel like that when it comes to the build quality of this thing. Now, bad things. I was at the SoC before I got sidetracked. The thing with the speaker mesh, but again, this is most probably only with my unit, so don't be discouraged by that. And outside of this, I can't... what's the word that I'm looking for? I can't make up bad things for the sake of the video. This is an emulation device that helps you, enables you to cram a poop ton of old consoles and handhelds into this thing. You need to view it as that, as a Swiss Army knife. Don't chase specs, because that's not how you should be motivated to buy handhelds. You need to chase the form factor and what can it actually do for you. Of course, it won't play PlayStation 2 or Switch, that's not the point of this, but for the same reason why the Mio Mini Plus is still recommendable and still enjoyable today, this one is as well. You don't need powerful, up-to-date hardware that changes every year to make a sort of, how should I put this, snapshot in time with all your library and to have this for many, many years. There's a lot of people and a lot of YouTubers that don't talk about this. You don't need to upgrade every year. The H700 in this can be used in 2030 as well. Of course, you might have to replace the battery realistically. But whatever collection you put on this, that's timeless. It already has the hardware to support that, and when it comes to supporting that, partial PSP, that's kind of the limit, and Dreamcast, again, that's kind of the limit. Anything up, don't hope for that, but it's more than enough for most people, and it's built like a tank, and again, a snapshot in time. You put your childhood into this thing, you shouldn't have an incentive to buy a new handheld unless you want to play more up-to-date platforms. Welcome to my TED Talk. So, would I recommend this little thing? Of course, but only if you don't have an H700 handheld that you're happy with. If you have something like the RG35XX and RG40XX and you're into horizontal handhelds, then I don't know how much you would want this. Personally, I see it as a really direct cousin of the RG35XX. It's literally that handheld, just in a vertical form factor. It has sticks, it's matte black like that one. In fact, wait a second. I figured this is a good time to bring my baby here. If you watched me for a while, you know that this has been one of my preferred handhelds for a long time. And these two have almost everything in common, from the screen to the D-pad, which feels quite frankly identical, to the sticks, which feel identical, to the face buttons, which feel identical. R1, R2, L1, L2 buttons feel different, but that's because of the form factor. On the top, they are basically identical. In fact, the RG35XX has a separated USB-C. It's not a combo like here. But overall, this is the close vertical cousin of this horizontal little bad boy. And out of these two, I still recommend the RG35XX. I think this is one of the most portable horizontals ever, but a lot of the love that I have for this gets instantly translated into the vertical form factor, because besides the form factor difference, these are basically the same handheld. Same big screen, 3.5 inches, same resolution, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth on both of them. You get the idea. Of course, bias check, because I outright love this. It made sense that this, especially because it's matte black, would play on my bias exceptionally well. Just a thing to keep in mind. All YouTubers are biased, I just say it out loud and I accept it and I embrace it. Do I recommend it? Heck yeah. But you know how many handhelds you have, you know if it's justified or not. If you don't have any Linux H700 handhelds and you crave for a versatile vertical, then of course get this bad boy. I wouldn't think that you would have a reason not to like this. I plan on making way more videos in the near future. I took a break, a bit of burnout, but I'm here now and expect a lot more of me if you want to watch me. If you stuck around for so long, please subscribe and like this video. You would help me a lot. And if you want to talk with me a bit more directly, I have a Discord. The link is in the video description. That's where, how should I put this? The elite nerd community hangs out. It's of course free, so in case you want to join, there's the link. But this is all from me, my dear nerds. I love you very much, as always, and we'll see each other in the next video.